Hello and welcome to Bluejay Business News. If you're feeling a bit down on this December day, well, here's something to chase the blues away as we're joined by Bluejay Mining. Bluejay's chief executive, Rod McIllree, is with us to tell us about some exciting news announced today about the exploitation license for its Dundas ilmenite project in Greenland, where the company's just been granted an exploitation license. Rod, hi, welcome back to the show. Tell us about the work you've done to get Bluejay to this position and this landmark decision for the company.
Sure. Morning, Tim. Yeah, look, again, it's one of these sort of overnight success being sort of several years in the making. A lot of work obviously has gone into getting to this point. One of the more critical features, I think, is this sort of concept of ESG and sustainability and the environment. One of the key motivating requirements of Greenland and/or Denmark in getting these permits or giving these permits to small companies really revolves around the idea of them being able to demonstrate being firstly a good corporate citizen, the environmental side of the equation, the footprint that you'll create. So a lot of work, a lot of documentation, a lot of sampling, a lot of baseline monitoring, and a hell of a lot of consultants. I'm pleased to say that we're there now. So this, I think, is the start or marks the start of the next phase of the Bluejay story.
Well, I can ask you, I mean, having got to the point now where after all that work and having ticked all those vital ESG and community and environmental boxes, what does this now mean for Bluejay going forward?
Well, look, I think the project now needs to sort of be seen from the point of view of starting the development process. And now that we have the exploitation license, I think the next step obviously is the offtake. We've updated the market several times over the last several months with respect to the ultimate destination of this materials. Hopefully, we're confident that between now and the end of the year, we will be adding to this very significant development with the exploitation license and add to that with a sort of a offtake/distribution agreement with a very large party. And then early next year is really all about just getting it going, starting to get some of the preparation and the equipment and getting some of these orders in the system, and more importantly, the funding. I think one of the things that we do need to get in place is the sort of the holistic funding package for the project. So those three things, I think, are going to be the core focus of the development side of the organisation. We've obviously got the other projects that will continue to get traction and momentum as we move forward in parallel as well. So a lot to do.
Some analysts in the city are already getting very excited about the announcement you've made today. And I'm looking at the PFS for Dundas. I think it outlines a mine life of around 11 years, a production of something like 440,000 tonnes of ilmenite per year. Now, I understand, and the analysts are suggesting, the scope for significant increased production and extended mine life. What can you tell us about that, Rod?
Yeah, look, that came as, I guess, a function of the strategy in the early days. What we wanted to do was put a mineral resource together that would be sufficient to define an economic opportunity within our license area. Now, our license area is in the dry area, some 60 plus or minus 60 square kilometres of raised beach. We have an enormous amount of additional material that we can point to with respect to future production and future mine life. I think what we have two things that will be going on over the course of the next six months is one is the optimization study. The PFS in terms of its costs was a very was a standard PFS approach in terms of plus or minus 25%. What we're doing now and have been for several months is refining those cost estimates both at the OPEX and the CAPEX levels to bring them more in line with actual what we expect it to be, and that comes as a function of getting firm commitments from suppliers about equipment and manufacturing and consumables. I think the other side of the equation is, look, most mines live with a 10-year, well, many mines just live with a 2-year mine life in front of them once they're starting production. What we're able to demonstrate here is a circa 10-year mine life initial startup. We can point to the extensions of further along the beaches. There's an enormous amount of material in a holistic sense. You know, if you want to stand back and wave your arms, Tim, you can sort of see up to 750 million tonnes of material that is ultimately going to be of a similar grade profile here with respect to the historical resource. So, yeah, we're not too bent out of shape about the mine life. Where we're sort of focusing now is just getting the cost, CapEx and OpEx numbers just right. And, you know, next couple of months, next sort of 3 months or so, we'll have some updated numbers for the market. But the rest of the pre-feasibility study is actually done to a feasibility level in terms of the detailed engineering and the design, the mine plan, the resource. It's just the cost estimates that we need a better handle on, but we're working on that.
Okay, so you, in essence, you're focused on the practicalities now of bringing this thing into life.
Yes.
Looking at this morning's announcement that you've put out, you've got a quote in there from the local mayor. You've got a quote in there from the minister in the government. You clearly work very closely with the Greenland and the Danish governments to get to this license. Just tell us a little bit about the relationships and how they in turn have supported you.
Look, yeah, I mean, it's about doing what you say you're going to do, Tim. You know, previous conversations with people, it's been a process that's had its ups and its downs. It hasn't all been a one-way up trajectory, this. And, you know, historically, there were moments where we as a team were exasperated, felt like throwing our hands in the air and just, you know, going off and planting potatoes. And I'm sure our counterparts did as well with respect to the agencies that were involved in the permitting, both at the Danish and the Greenlandic level. But one thing that you develop when you move through those moments is a strong respect and an understanding of your counterparty that you're dealing with here. It is a very, very difficult thing to get an exploitation license within the European sphere of influence because of the ESG and the environmental and the social. So, you know, we had to be flexible. We had to fit through very small holes at some stage. And now with the issue of that license, that process is complete and those relationships are solid. You know, we saw the Prime Minister of Greenland several months ago sort of stand up in government and say, look, you know, Bluejay's a winner. We're going to give them the license. We like the guys and we know they're going to do well because we've worked with them for the last couple of years. So we're in good shape up there.
Well, what benefits is the project actually going to bring to the people in Greenland and the communities surrounding the Dundas project?
Yeah, look, it's two things really. I think that they revolve around, firstly, employment. And the ability to sort of generate, you know, a life in this part of the world. This is a remote location. I mean, it is adjacent to one of the more larger infrastructure hubs with the US Air Force Base just across the other side of the fjord. But more importantly, bringing infrastructure to the area. You know, this is going to open up the northwest part of Greenland, and the northwest part of Greenland sits at the mouth of the Northwest Passage. So this is the initial step towards what will ultimately be a manifold development activities in that part of the world. So
jobs, Rod, are you creating new jobs?
Absolutely. I think, you know, we're sort of, once this is up and going in a full operational stance, you're looking at around about 120 up to 120 people full-time employed, some flying in, some flying out, a lot of locals. The other side of the equation is the construction side of it as well. You know, to get this built will require a lot of Greenlandic and Danish and European input. There's going to be bits of kit coming from all over the world for this project. So, yeah, we fortunately, again, and this comes back to the team that we have, and sort of, we were joking before about being one-man bands. Well, I can tell you that that's not the case. Bluejay's got a great team, both in Denmark and Greenland, and bringing this logistical challenge to this project, I think we have the right people in place, and you know, we're going to see some really solid moves over the next sort of 6 to 12 months as we bring this thing online.
Now, the Dundas project is for the extraction of ilmenite. Ilmenite gets you to titanium. Titanium used in pigments, but also used in aircraft and spacecraft, a wide variety of applications. The stuff itself has just been considered a critical mineral by the European Commission, and I also see that the United States has it on its own list of critical resources. How important is your project in Greenland going to be in creating a domestic, secure supply chain in Europe for this critical mineral?
Oh, it's going to be important. And some of the things you just mentioned there are the initial lead-ins to these kinds of situations. Look, the idea of titanium, it's actually the 9th most abundant element on the surface of the Earth. But finding exploitable deposits of titanium, because there's ilmenite and then there's real ilmenite. And that is really a function of two things, impurity and oxidation state. Now, what we have is a low impurity, low oxidized material that is suitable for the broad spectrum of titanium smelting and production. I think that where we are now with respect to the markets and the pricing dynamics that we're seeing is that this has always been a supply side issue. And now that supply side or that supply constraint is running headlong into an increase in demand, whether it's because everyone's at home painting their kitchen or whatever's happening, right? The price of this material is really on a very interesting glide path. And because of that supply side issue, there's really no solution to that pricing upward momentum. And this is a perfect point to be bringing on a new mine when you've got those two dynamics working in tandem on a price point. So we are perfectly positioned. Europe added it to the security of supply. They've also put together a very large amount of money to fund development of materials on those lists. And, for what it's worth, we're the only titanium producer in Europe, Tim. So for them to add titanium to that list really had a little asterisk at the end of it, and the footnote said Bluejay Mining or Dundas Titanium, right? So let's see where that all ends up. But we're working on a couple of things in the background.
Thank you, Rod. That was Rod McIllree, Chief Executive of Bluejay Mining, on what is clearly a blue ribbon day for them. Bluejay trades under the ticker JAY and can be found on the AIM stock market in London, the Frankfurt Stock Exchange, and also the OTC market in New York. Currently, the company has a market capitalization of around £119 million sterling. But if this morning's brokers analysts' notes are anything to go by, that share price and that market capitalization is going to be moving upwards quite quickly. That's it from Blytheway Business News today. Thanks for watching.